Macmillan Audio presents The Wayward Prince, written by Leonard Goldberg, read by Steve West. Chapter 1. An Unforgettable Date. It was as if the Great War, now raging on the continent, had driven London's criminal element even deeper into the underworld. Only the most trivial of crimes were being reported, and those were usually buried in the midsection of the daily newspapers. A prime example was the recent attempted robbery of a jewelry shop on Bond Street, in which a clumsy thief tripped over a leashed poodle as he made a hasty exit with a diamond brooch in hand. "A failed snatch and grab," my father described, placing the morning edition of the Daily Telegraph onto his lap. "Hardly worth the attention of the daughter of Sherlock Holmes."
"His daughter would find a tidbit or two of interest in this case," said Joanna, who was stationed at the window overlooking Baker Street.
"Pray tell what catches your eye but escapes mine."
"The omissions, my dear Watson. The omissions."
I, John Watson, Jr., M.D., the husband of the famous daughter, leaned forward in my overstuffed chair and pricked my ears for the interchange which was about to occur. How many times, I wondered, had my father carried on a similar conversation with his long-dead colleague and friend, Sherlock Holmes? For the senior John Watson, who had been the sounding board over the years for the great detective, now served a similar role for the daughter, whose adventures I had the privilege of chronicling. My father carefully reread the article before pronouncing, "I see no omissions."
"Describe the gentleman holding the leash on the poodle," Joanna prompted.
"None was given."
"Yet he unintentionally, or intentionally, thwarted the robbery. Surely this hero by chance merits some description which would be of interest to the reader."
"Perhaps he chose to remain anonymous."
"He would have been seen by others or in the company of a constable, who no doubt would have questioned him."
My father gave the matter further thought. "Are you implying he simply disappeared?"
"Which brings us to the second omission," Joanna went on. "What of the diamond brooch?"
"It was not recovered."
"And I would wager a guinea it disappeared in the hands of the man who vanished along with his leashed poodle."
"I cannot believe this apparent gentleman was involved in the robbery itself."
"I am of that opinion as well, but there is the distinct possibility he took advantage of the situation."
"So the gentleman walking his poodle, who was the unlikeliest of suspects, appears to be the thief?"
Joanna nodded slowly. "These are desperate times, Watson, which tend to bring out the best and worst in people."
"But should not desperate times bring out more crimes, rather than the lull we are currently experiencing?"
"Oh, the crimes are being committed, but these are of little consequence, and thus do not warrant publication," Joanna replied. "No one wishes to read of arson in Whitechapel or an assault in Limehouse, but an attempted robbery on Bond Street is of interest because it is upscale and involves an item of considerable value."
"But what of murder?" my father queried. "I very much doubt those have diminished in number."
"I suspect you are correct, but murder is of small matter unless it is attached to wealth, sex, or the aristocracy. Moreover, a single death or two is unlikely to draw the reader's attention, whilst there are thousands being killed daily on the Western Front."
"One would think that stolen masterpieces would still be in demand," I interjected. "Surely there remains a market for a stolen Rembrandt or Caravaggio, even during wartime."
"Not with the outcome of the war undecided," Joanna reasoned. "Buyers here and on the continent would be skittish when it comes to parting with large sums of money for famous works of art. They would take into account that the Huns might triumph over the Allies."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?